Hey everybody, welcome back to Lindinhof. We are here tonight at Megan's beautiful facility in Oregon, Wisconsin. I have made the trip to her beautiful arena, which I am getting a really nice view of right now because lovely. So we are here and there is Megan warming up her lovely boy that will be our demo horse tonight. So thank you again, Megan, for having us.
Hi, thanks for coming.
Yeah, so before we get started, obviously tonight's topic will be leg yielding, but we're going to do a little bit of, housekeeping. So anybody that's popped on live stream and then not watching this on demand later on YouTube, if you have questions, please feel free to ask them in the YouTube chat. I am actually using a website called StreamYard to do this. And so I will see your messages via the live chat about 30 seconds or so after you post them, but I will do my best to ask Megan if you have questions. I have Megan's information down below in the description, as well as some details on tonight. Again, we're going to be talking about leg yielding, but would appreciate so much if you would give this video a thumbs up and visit both our channels. Obviously, you're here on the Opinionated Horsewoman channel. Would appreciate it if you would subscribe to both channels as well. And if you are watching this on demand later on YouTube, if you do have questions that we do not provide the answers throughout tonight's live stream, feel free to use the comments below, below the descriptions, ask your questions, and I will let Megan know she's got a question out there. She can jump on YouTube and try to give you a good answer. So again, and I hope if you guys would be so kind as to watch this with your ad blockers turned off. YouTube is being very kind, hosting these live streams for us and these videos for you later on demand and not charging. So of course they do like to get their money's worth. So if you guys would be so kind as to allow the ads to run, YouTube would appreciate it, and it allows us to continue doing this. So I think we've got that. Yeah, just a reminder, if you do jump in live stream here and you have a question and you are logged into YouTube, you can ask it in the live chat or the comments down below. So I think that's pretty much our usual, right, Megan?
I think it is.
Yeah, you've heard it a few times now. So, well, hello, good evening.
Good evening. Hey, everybody. How are you?
Well, I am wonderful. How are you?
Living the dream.
Living the dream. Hey, it's not 40 degrees out.
I know.
And
awesome.
or 30 degrees out. It's nice out.
I'm on a beautiful horse.
You're on a lovely horse. So again, we have our demo pony, Mr. AJ. So thank you very much, buddy.
Yep.
So Megan, tonight, let's see. So last week we talked about turn on the forehand.
Yep.
Right? So tonight we are progressing into leg yielding.
Yep.
So what do you want to talk about as far, before we actually get rolling here, to talk about leg yielding and how that ties into last week's topic maybe?
Yeah, I think it's a progression. You know, again, it's helping the horse understand inside leg to outside rein, or helping the student coordinate their diagonal pair of aids, their driving aid, their inside leg to their outside rein. Ideally, you want to, well, if we start with just from the center line and we leg yield towards the track, we want our horse parallel to the rail with a slight flexion to the inside or away from the direction he's going. And we want the outside shoulder to lead just slightly. So I guess we can just show you that. And I think we start, at least I do, I start from the center line to the wall, because horses love to go to the wall. People love to go to the wall. And so if you're just starting to teach it, it's much easier to teach that. Also, even for a rider, the horse ideally wants to go to the track, so it'll be more helpful for the rider to understand. And then we also do leg yielding from the wall to the center line, or even going across the arena, and then riding a leg yield down the long side or along the wall. Yes.
So I have a question. So where does this come in to play in the levels as far as being required in like a show and a test?
I believe we show it in first level.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does it travel all the way through, all the way up to the highest level of Grand Prix, or at some point does it disappear from the tests?
No, just first level.
Okay.
Yeah.
So AJ is obviously an FEI dressage horse. Do you ever use leg yield on him, or
every warm up? You betcha.
Okay, so you're saying basically it may disappear from the test, but
I still use it at home. Yes.
It's absolutely an excellent training aid. Okay, awesome.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
We'll show you going away first. We'll do it in the walk. So we'll go down the center line, and then we'll start the leg yield. You ideally want to see the shoulders leading. See right there, the haunches are leading. He's kind of wiggly tonight. And a slight flexion to the left. And I do slide my left leg back. And I also press in a rhythm. Now, now, now. And it's when the inside hind leg leaves the ground is when I press. And at the same time I use my inside leg, I close the fingers of my outside frame. All right, we'll do a longer one. We'll come down the quarter line. The other thing, too, is that normally I don't switch direction. So when we leg yielded, in the previous leg yield, I was going to the left. This time we were going to the left, and I changed the flexion, and I switched my inside leg. It's now right leg.
So you probably wouldn't do that on a green horse, but because AJ is a very advanced horse, it's not a problem.
Yeah, and I wanted to save on time, save the horse, and show you guys a good leg yield, one in each direction, also going away and coming towards you. Another time to use it is when, let's say you come down the center line and your horse is pushing in, let's say they're pushing into your right leg. So then I would have used the leg yield to help him understand, hey, come off my right leg, you have to listen to it. So I guess we'll show you a good leg yield in the trot.
Awesome. And I apologize, I cannot Zoom you guys because of the StreamYard, so I will do my best here to keep her centered. StreamYard doesn't allow me to zoom the camera lens, so my apologies, everyone.
So we're just going to come down the center line, straight first, make sure you go straight first, and then start the leg yield. So that's a good leg yield. And I'll show you one from the other direction. So I'm just gonna, like I said, I don't like to change my inside leg. So I'm gonna leg yield, whoop, straight first. He fell out. There. Good. And then let's show you another little version of leg yield from the wall. Change my posting diagonal. And now I leg yield from the wall, which is harder because most horses do not want to leave the wall. Also, you'll notice I changed my posting diagonal. So we'll do that again. So I'm actually on the wrong posting diagonal. However, when I start the leg yield, I'm on the correct one because my left leg is my inside leg, and the reason I do that is when I apply the leg, the timing is when I come up with my post. So it's important to have the correct posting diagonal. All right, another one. Grab another version, going down the long side. So I have it slightly flexed to the right. I slide my right leg back. Good. All right, we'll do it again so you can see it. So I flex it right. I move him off my right leg. His neck is straight. There, and I give my right rein to really make sure am I connected from my right leg to my left rein. All right, should we show some bad?
Let's see the really bad. Make it bad.
So this is with too much inside rein. I see this a lot. So I'm really pulling with my left rein. Ooh, I should let the haunches trail. I see that. So his body did not stay parallel to the rail. So here we go. I'll do it again. So this happens, and people see I'm pulling him over to the rail. There's no balance, and he gets to the wall too soon. So I'll show you maybe a correction. So we'll start out that way. Down the center line, over bend. He's falling. So just simply straighten it and ride straight, and then start again. There we go. Not this. There. So we'll do that again so you can see it. Me coming towards you. So he's falling out. And I just simply use my outside rein and leg and straighten him a few strides. Okay, now, yep.
If you walk, so a couple questions. Okay, so what are, you kind of touched on it, but let's just talk about that right now. What are the biggest faults or issues when a leg yield is performed improperly? You basically got through a lot of them right there, but let's just call this out. Shoulders, haunches, the whole.
So we don't want the shoulder to fall out like we just showed that in the last leg. We want balance. We want our horse's balance between our legs and our hands and our seat. And so if he's leading too much in the shoulder or he's dropping that shoulder to the right, he's not in balance. His body is just toppling over sideways. Yes, we're getting to the rail, but how are we getting to the rail, right? He's not straight in his body. Yes.
So I think what we saw when you did the bad demonstration, it looked like the horse was like way overbent. His head was like really cranked to the inside. The haunches weren't like all over the place. Shoulders were like way out ahead of everything else. Right? Am I getting at?
Yeah.
And then do people occasionally like, do you ever see like the haunches actually lead instead of?
Yeah, that's what I was going to show next.
Okay. So, yeah.
So that one's more rare because most people rely on that inside rein. And this is a great example of why not to rely on that inside rein. Because when we pull on that inside rein, which I'm doing now, he drops in his left shoulder and he falls out in the right. And then his haunches come in slightly. So then our horse is on the forehand. So then now we'll go with the haunches leading. You want to see the walk or just the trot?
Yeah, let's go ahead and show it first. It's a lot because everything happens so fast in the trot.
And this usually is the second thing. You know, when I'm teaching a rider, I'll say, please use your outside rein. And then they do. They're great students, right? I say, use your outside rein. And so then this happens. Or use your inside leg, right? And so look at that. This is the opposite version of what we just saw. Now the haunches are leading. Oh boy. AJ's going, what in the world is happening, Mom?
Sorry, AJ. Thanks, buddy.
And I can tell you, he's getting heavy in the ride. Like, this is not fun. He was light to begin with, now he's getting heavy. So here we go with the haunches leading. And usually, like when you're riding half pass or even a leg yield, sometimes this happens and our horses don't move over. That's why it's so helpful if you have the opportunity to have mirrors, to ride in front of mirrors. If you don't, then ask your friend, a coach, get that feeling down. Now you want to see it in
No, actually, I've thought before you move into trot, because everything, like I said, does go. Can you show some examples of bad rider like tipping, whatever, you know, crooked, whatever? How a rider's position might screw up the leg yield.
So a coach might say, sit on that right seat bone and bring the horse over. See, and he's not even going forward to the bit anymore. And I'm collapsing to the left and falling out. See that?
Yes.
Okay, and then what's another one? I try not to think of these.
Maybe bent the wrong way, like rider's shoulders are maybe all cranked in a weird corkscrew. Yeah.
So then, people are learning how to do this and they do their hands like this. So here's the overbending. Oh. It's kind of similar, but see how my hand comes up? We also can move our hand this way. Woo!
Yeah,
move our hand this way.
Your head is turned, your shoulders are dropped.
I've seen all of those in leg yields. And you can see, ideally, we want to be able to measure each stride. Let's do a good one.
Poor AJ. Sorry, buddy. Thank you.
Perfect. So ideally what we want is 1 step forward, 1 step sideways, and you look at the wall and you say, I'm going to get to a spot on the wall somewhere between R and M. And there's a flow. So that could be my next bad one. So this was a good one. And again, the rhythm is when that left hind leaves the ground. Okay, so then this can happen too. So you can see the angle stayed the same. When I started the leg yield, it stayed the same all the way to the track. So then sometimes this happens. We move our horse sideways, and then we go straight, and then we move our horse sideways. And sometimes this is an exercise that we want to do. Obviously, in a test situation, we don't want to. Sometimes in a training situation, but like when we're teaching our horse for the first time, this is a great exercise. They can go forward and sideways. Also, it forces the rider to learn that they need to use their outside aids within the leg yield. It's not just shoving our horses sideways. It's a balance between our inside aids and our outside aids.
Okay, StreamYard is being a little ornery, so let's see if we can get the video to catch up to our audio. Come on, StreamYard. I know. Okay, guys, hang on. I'm going to turn the camera off and then turn it back on. Because, come on, StreamYard. Or not.
Is it not working?
Well, we're on. It's just the video is laggy. It's a little glitchy. We really apologize, you guys. This happened to us last month, or last week. There we go. We're back. Okay, most apologies, everyone. Every now and then, because we are out in the country, our internets get a little glitchy. So, yeah, thank you for having some patience while we waited that out. Okay, we are appear to be back.
Okay, great. Welcome back.
Wasn't too bad. Was only about part of a minute.
So should we go the bad trot?
Yeah, bad leg yield.
We've been going to the right a lot, so let's go to the left now. So bad trot will show with the shoulders leading too much, or you could call it haunches trailing. Come down the center line. Straight. And now. Whoop. So sometimes it even turns into a diagonal line. This is not a leg yield. AJ's loving this, you guys. So now from the front. Also, I didn't take any time to travel straight. He just fell out. That's totally normal. But we don't want it. Here's a good one.
That's a good one, everyone.
Good. And now we'll show a bad one with the haunches leading. And sometimes you want a leg yield like this. When a horse, I know when I'm training, the horse always falls to the wall, but notice I'm like kicking. So think about sometimes, maybe when we're riding, maybe the haunches are leaving, and our horses can't move over. It's so much harder to move him over when the haunches are leading. Good. Good boy. All right, we'll do a good one now. Whew. Let's see if I can get my inside rein. Am I truly connected? I like to test. Did he stay in balance? Did he lose connection? Did he lose tempo? Yep.
Okay, I'm asking another question. So let's go back to where this is in a dressage test at first level. So the test, I assume you come down center line and probably have to leg yield one direction. So you've kind of touched on that. You need to, what do you need to show in the test? You touched on straight first.
You first need to show that you can turn off to the center line. I think in first level though, now it's from the wall, like they do the opposite. But you still need to show that you can ride a straight line first, and that the horse is truly between your inside and your outside aids, and that he's waiting for what your direction. And then when you start the leg yield, you want to make sure that the tempo does not change, the alignment in his body, and that he stays perpendicular to the track. So the judge is looking for all of that, and that his head position doesn't change. Oh, that's another thing. He stayed on the bit. However, he did get a little heavy in the leg yield where he was overbent and not in balance. But some horses do the opposite. They come up above the bit. And that's also another sign they might be telling you, hey, your balance from your inside leg to your outside rein may not be coordinated. And so you might want to look, at your riding first. And then sometimes the horse simply just doesn't know how to stay connected through the inside leg to the outside rein.
Okay, so the judge is looking for you to initially show you can turn around the corner or on the center line. You can be straight, and then you can show the leg yield. And then at the end,
determine, where do you leg yield? Where do you end that leg yield? So you also have to make sure that you can, you are in control of that angle within the leg yield.
So the test will say from a certain letter to a certain letter, and do you get points deducted if you, let's say that you're leg yielding to the wall. Let's just say you're going from center line to the wall, which is probably not in a test anymore, but for this example, we'll say that center line to the wall, and let's say you arrive, between letters, you're early to the wall.
Yeah, I mean,
what does the test allow for, or the level, or whatever?
I think that's individual. I mean, between judges. However, if you're getting there too early, it might be showing that your horse is just going through your outside rein, that you don't, that you're just shoving him over. So it also depends on, how that balance is. Although I have sporty horses and a little shorter, they're easier to glide over. Then I also have much larger horses that I can hardly get over, because whether it's the response to the leg or whether it's just simply they're so big, the length of stride to get them over. And so, no, the judge doesn't take that into account. The test is from point A to B, and that is the line. It doesn't matter what horse you're on, whether they're short, whether they're big, you need to be able to ride that test from point A to B.
On a pony whose trot stride is significantly shorter, it's probably quite a bit easier than on a like a 17 3-hand horse who has a huge trot stride, and you've, you know,
it depends.
six
Really
strides
depends.
on a big horse gets you a lot farther down the arena than 6 strides on a pony.
Yeah, you might think it might be easier, but actually I have an Andalusian in the barn, and he's so sporty. He's so easy. I also have a Frisian, very easy to move sideways, and then I have a beautiful 17 3, maybe even 18 hands, warm blood in the barn, all on training, and I would say the Frisian is the easiest.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's history, it doesn't really matter. Some horses are easier than others, and also maybe due to suppleness. You know, this is a suppling exercise. You know, can our horses cross the middle line? Can we come up and under? So it's a suppling exercise as well. Some horses aren't very supple. And again, this is a prerequisite to our lateral work. Leg yield is actually not lateral work. It's just a prerequisite to shoulder in, haunches in, half pass, which is our lateral work.
Yeah, you talk about suppleness, and you're talking, would you be talking about lateral suppleness, or is this longitudinal?
Oh.
Yeah. So the horse has to, and AJ showed it really well, and hopefully you guys can go back and look at the video, but he crossed his front legs and his hind legs very easily. Some horses are, like you said, very naturally talented at that. Like they can really like deeply cross at a young age, and some really have to work at that. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, I remember I never understood that until I got a truly talented horse that could move sideways at the blink of an eye without even thinking about it. And it was like jaw dropping. Mm-hmm. So yeah, for sure. And you know, we're all athletically different, right?
We all are. We all have our own talents.
Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to get anything else test question wise that might come up that somebody might want to know. You know, we talked about you do need to be accurate. The test says the test. It's you know, point to point, like you said. And you know, this is probably a good time to remind people to actually read the test, the directives, the directive of the test and the directive of the movement, because you can glean a lot of information on what the judge is actually scoring you on just by reading that. I'm trying, is there anything else? I'm trying to think if there's anything else maybe test related. I think that's
it.
Yeah. As far as directly, you know, putting this into like a show experience, but so next question for you. Do you do leg yielding on a circle exercises at all? And if yes or no, why or why not?
Yeah, you can. Again, it's a suppling exercise. It's being able to ask our horses to move away from our inside leg, for sure.
So would you and AJ be willing to show us maybe on a nice big circle, some trot on a big trot circle, like how, or maybe as you're riding, explain to like how you would introduce that and how you would make sure you
turn on the forehand.
It sounds really, really hard. So
yeah,
it kind of sounds like deciphering a puzzle.
So I would start out in the walk first, and it's just like thinking about what we did last week, like a turn on the forehand. So we start between the open side, you know, on the open side between the quarter line. And the big thing is you want to make sure his neck stays straight. So that's a leg yield on the open side of the circle. Of course, I should have moved this circle down. I'll move the circle down.
Not too far.
And again, so your inside leg, outside rein, inside leg. It's a great suppling exercise. And maybe our horses are falling in, and so we want to test that and push them out. Maybe our connection isn't truly solid. You know, we use a little bit too much of over bending. And so I'll overbend him on the next side. And so that way you can see the difference. It's really important because on the circle, it's a bending line. And so it's very easy. So here, this is too much bending coming into it. And then trying to push him out. And you can see he drops in the neck and comes behind the vertical. And that's what this is doing. This overbending is doing. And I don't want it. So we're not going to do too many of those.
Yeah.
because I don't want him to do that.
Well, and actually, that was a perfect, because we could really see that shoulder falling out.
Yeah.
As you came around, so. So is this something you might hear the terminology spiraling in and spiraling out?
No.
Okay.
It's just like yielding on a circle.
Okay.
So straighten him. Again. Push out. I like to give my inside ranges to make sure that I'm not flexing him, because it's so easy to grab on that inside range. Again, I push up on top, and then I straighten him. So for spiraling in, so I'm on a 20-meter circle. My next circle might be somewhere between 18 and 15 meters. I bring them in with my outside aid. I step into my inside seat cone, twist my upper body, and hopefully the bending in his body becomes a little wiggly now from all of our work. He becomes rounder. And now I'm going to spiral him out. All right.
So what would you say, and this is hard because, you know, I brought in this idea of spiraling in and spiraling out, but you hear people use those terms a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you say, just for those who are trying to understand and learn this at our lower levels, like what would you say the difference between spiraling in and spiraling out versus leg yielding on the circle?
I think it promotes more lateral suppleness, that our horses bend more around our inside. Like this one wasn't very good. He was kind of wiggling in his haunches a little bit too much. He was like, am I falling in? And you can also see when we ride bad movements, how that affects our horses, because he was like, boom, right on. And now that he's like, oh, I can fall out here. Where do you want my haunches, Mom?
Yeah, so we're accidentally teaching him bad things. And so that's why it's key to ride each one correctly.
With precision.
And so you showed it at the walk. And so if you're not getting it at the walk, you probably shouldn't progress to a faster speed. Yeah.
Exactly. And so that would be the difference between the two exercises. So if your horse is not very supple laterally, or you're wanting to introduce a shoulder in that day, right? That you would spiral down into a 10-meter circle and then leg yield him back out to a 20-meter circle, and then maybe progress into a 10-meter circle in the corner and then ride your shoulder in. Maybe that's an example of two exercises and how one builds on the other. Whereas, let's say he is falling in, or maybe he's even carrying, like dog tracking, is carrying his haunches to the inside. So let's say going to the left, I want to go to the left. He's falling in and he's carrying his haunches a foot to the left, and he's not really bending on the line of the circle. I would ride the leg yield on a circle. Also, just for a young baby, right? I would be playful. I would be like, can I put my leg on? Do you move away? You know, like that's a great exercise. For an older horse, let's say you're warming them up in the first 10, 15 minutes. These are all great exercises for the older horse, right? You're just, hey, will you move off this leg? Hey, will you move off this leg? Oh, and you're finding, oh, you're really stiff there. Oh, maybe we should do another spiral in, spiral out. Oh, maybe we should ride an easier leg yield. That was harder. You know, and again, there's a progression within the leg yields. I would always start from the center line and go to the wall first. Then I might try a leg yield from the corner on the diagonal. So let's say I was trotting to the left, I go through the corner, I change the flexion, and then I leg yield him off my right leg all the way across the arena. So I wouldn't start with that. I'd start from the center line because I want to make sure like he's not along the rail. He's not hugging the rail. Hey, can I get you off my right leg? Are you listening to that leg too? And then the next leg yield, maybe a leg yield down the long side. And moving him another version of moving him off my outside leg if he's stuck along the wall. Like let's say my horse, I don't ride along the wall for that reason, but I used to because my arena was really small. And so my horses, I would find when I go to the horse show, I never had any outside aids. So that's why I like to ride off the track, because I really want to make sure they're between my inside and outside aids. So therefore, if I rode a lot on the rail, I might ride a leg yield down the rail and say, hey, can you get off this leg? Are you listening to this leg? And then I would go to spiraling in, spiraling out, and just being very playful. There's so many options. Yes.
Okay, so if I believe I understood kind of a lot of what you're saying, for, we'll just say a older horse, you use this in your warm up for a variety of reasons. One, is the horse responsive off each leg?
Yes.
Two, is the horse stiff on one leg or versus another, or needing, or just plain overall quite laterally stiff, needing some extra warm up there? Because I will raise my hand and I will say that the older you get, the stiffer you get when you get up in the morning.
Yeah, it's a great warm up exercise. And then besides our transitions, trot, canter, trot, you know, we're riding our transitions, but also just moving them sideways and being very playful with it.
Yep. And then for like a younger horse, it is, you know, very, not necessarily maybe, you know, the stiffness as far as age related, but stiffness as far as being very new to being ridden, and not like, fit. Obedience, understanding your aids.
My leg. Do you accept my leg? Can I put my leg on and you move away from it
without bucking you off?
Exactly.
Yep. Okay. So you're basically, you know, kind of summarizing, saying that this can be used at a horse, even an FEI horse.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You did touch on it, saying you use it in warm up a lot for even your FEI horses.
I do. So, yeah. I love the leg heel.
Again, she's mentioned earlier, it's not necessarily in an FEI test. We really only see it at first level, but it's part of the training pyramid and you use it all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, and actually you just a few minutes ago, when you were kind of showing leg yielding on the circle, tied it back to, we did a video last week, and you just referenced it, talking about turn on the forehand. And we kind of touched on leg yielding last week, alluding to this tonight's live stream as far as the turn on the forehand can kind of lead into leg yielding. So if you guys missed it, please check out on our play. We do have a playlist, but check out on our stream here. We just covered the turn on the forehand and how these two really, you know, have tied into each other quite nicely. So, and you now have alluded to how the horse learning the leg yield and being good at this, you just kind of alluded to how you might use that to work into either teaching or moving into shoulder in.
Yep.
So that's progressing again up a level. That's not at first level, correct?
Correct. That's at second level.
Okay, yep. So that's actually really shows how these national level tests are written to show the progression of the training of the horse.
Yeah, it should all be logical, and one step and is another building block for the next step and the next step.
Now we should mention that you know, last week we talked about the turn on the forehand. That's not actually ever requested in a test, but you know, it is a very nice and necessary training aid, especially for young horses. And so yeah, I think that's really cool. Now, okay, so making it a little bit more challenging, we've talked about leg yielding in the walk, and we've talked about leg yielding in the trot. Does the test at first level require leg yielding in the canter, or do you leg yield in the canter? What's the thoughts on that, or is there a requirement? Is it, first of all, is it in a test?
No, it is not in a test, and you need to be very careful riding leg yield in the canter. The reason why is a lot of times it will ruin the rhythm of the canter. And so you have to be very careful, because that's step one. Do you have rhythm?
Yeah.
You know, 3 beats within the canter.
So can we back up for those who are very new to this, because they don't, you know, I think sometimes we jump through some of this, talk about what we mean by the rhythm in each gait.
Yeah, so in the walk, there's 4 footfalls, and there's no air time. There's no moment of suspension, so that's important.
And it's 4 distinct beats. And a fault, let's say, what would a fault in the rhythm of a walk be?
So it could be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And that kind of sounds like what somebody might call like pacing.
Or a lateral walk.
Or a lateral walk. Okay, so those are terms that if you guys are a little new to dressage, you might hear that. Somebody might mention that talking about a horse. You might see a comment on a test.
Lateral walk, and ideally you want to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and
like a metronome.
Exactly like a metronome, and also you have to pick the right tempo because you don't want 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, there's no.
That sounds very tense and fast.
Exactly, no relaxation.
Okay.
And you also don't want 1, 2, 3, 4. You know.
That sounds sleepy.
That's sleepy. So you have to pick the correct tempo for your horse. You know, maybe your horse is a little bit on the lazier side, and you might want to have a little quicker tempo. You might have a horse that's a little bit quick, intense, and you have to slow down the tempo.
Is leg yield something you can do in walk that would either improve a potentially non-rhythmical walk, or is there a way that you could use a leg yield and accidentally ruin a very nice walk and turn it unrhythmical?
You can have both. So let's say you're too tight in the hands and you're really trying to make that rhythm, you're trying to be a good student, you can make that walk more tense and irregular. You can also use the leg yield in a slow rhythm and create more of a correct walk. So you just have to be careful how you're going to do that.
Yeah. This is where having a trainer such as Megan
is helpful.
Is very helpful.
But when there's a rhythm fault, that's hard to fix. It doesn't matter whether you're a trainer. A trainer has more tools in the toolbox, but it's very difficult to fix the walk. And there's different philosophies that we don't want to get into right now, whether you have contact in the walk or not. So that's for another time.
So let's talk about the trot.
In the trot, there's 2 beats. So they're diagonal pairs in the trot. And then in the canter, it should be 3 beats. Sometimes when they get too slow, maybe they're disjointed, there's 4 beats, and that's incorrect. You don't want to have a 4 beat in the canter. So, so in terms of leg yielding within the canter, I think most people should stay away from it and be very careful. If you do, because I've ridden leg yield in the canter, there's certain purposes, there's training issues with the horses. Maybe it's helping develop that connection inside leg to outside rein or helping the horse come under, but you need to be very, very, very careful.
Okay, so on that note, I say,
don't do it.
Don't demonstrate it. Let's just not go there. Because that sounds like that's something that only a trainer should open that toolbox and use.
Yeah, and very limited.
So good to know. Cool. Well, have we covered everything? Have I missed anything? Is there anything else you wanted to refer to? Is there, when should you introduce the leg yield on a young horse? Like I said last week, we tied into last week with.
I don't think there's a certain timing. You know, I do think like if you're walk, trot, canter, and the horse is relaxed and going around, ask, but it's not going to look like it did on this video.
Yeah,
it might be a very super talented, obedient horse, but it might not. And I definitely wouldn't expect my horse to ride leg yields like I did today on AJ. That must go from one point to one point. It may look like that. Some of these leg yields where the haunches are totally trailing because the horse doesn't understand. And then if that happens, I might go back to a turn on the forehand. And then what else?
So I guess on a young horse, you probably don't want to be 6 rides on a young horse and trying to teach him off of one leg. I mean, is there a point where you're like, okay, the horse understands 2 legs mean go forward, pull on the right rein means go one way, pull on the, you know what I mean? And then you say, okay, now we can start finessing the aids.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want people on YouTube here who might watch this who are very new to riding, kind of learning this, and who are maybe trying to, you know, teach a green horse because it was a horse maybe they could afford versus an already trained horse. You know, where do you decide? Because you don't want to obviously confuse a young horse. Young horses haven't read the book.
Yeah, I would say if we're walk, trot, canter, and the horse is nice and relaxed, moving forward, swinging through the back, I can halt and ride a turn on the forehand, that I would start to introduce it.
Awesome.
And I would start to introduce it maybe once a week. You know, I think that's the most important thing, no matter what you're doing, whether you're riding FEI or you're starting a horse. The horse did not read the book, you know, and they're all on their own timeline, and that's why we call it a journey. You know, with each horse, it's a different journey. Just because you ride one horse to Grand Prix doesn't mean the next horse is going to be from point A to B. There's great memes out there that show like our vision, our dream is from here to here, and then what actually happens is all of that. And I think that's really important, to not panic when it doesn't go right. You know, really the answer, which I've learned from my vet, it just takes time. You know, just give your horse time, give yourself time, and it will all work out. And so I think that's what's most important.
Awesome. Anything else you can think of?
No.
Okay, well,
great.
we appreciate your time, and we appreciate AJ.
Yay,
and I'm very sorry to make you do bad things, AJ, and learn bad things that your mommy has to correct you on. So we always end these. Megan, how can people find you if they want to find you?
They can call AJ at 608-445-8531. He accepts emails at lindinhofllc@gmail.com.
Does he have a website?
He does. He has a beautiful website. Actually, it's not updated yet. They haven't
coming.
put it up, but it's going to be updated because now it's old. Is at lindinhof.com, and then you can also check out his videos at Lindinhof1 on YouTube. And then
is he on social media?
He is on social media too. He loves talking to people. He is on Lindinhof Equine Sports Syndrome.
On Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah.
All right, awesome. And then, so you guys, just so you guys know, I will make sure all that information is in the description. I believe I've already put it there, but if not, it'll be there soon. And yeah, and so Megan and I try to do these live streams. We attempt to do them weekly.
Yeah.
We try to do them every Tuesday. Sometimes holidays may interrupt, or, you know, horse shows. Megan's been, you know, actually less busy this year than normal due to the pandemic, but still going to quite a lot of shows. So sometimes we do have that interruption, but you do have all of our live streams available on your YouTube channel in a playlist.
Yep.
As well as I do have them here on this channel, which is Opinionated Horsewoman, in a playlist as well. So again, you know, feel free to, if you've got any questions, even on the former videos, again, leave them in the comments. I do get notices on that, and we'll let Megan know if you've got a comment or a question for her. She can try to go back in there and see if she can explain or answer your question as best as possible. But Megan, we should say you have been through the USDF's instructor certification program.
Yep.
And the USDF is what?
United States Dressage Federation. Okay. And it is our national, well, it's not our national governing body, but it is an organization that is
it governs our sport.
Yeah, our sport, but also the education. It promotes the mission of USDF is promoting education. Education
to the rider, education for people such as yourself, instructor trainers.
Everyone,
and judges. Now they are also, in charge of the continuing education for existing judges, and as well as teaching new judges.
You got it.
So you have gone through all the national level examinations for their instructor program.
I have.
Training level, training level through 4th level.
Yep.
And what is very new to USDF is the program is still somewhat fledgling, but they have begun a certification program for the FEI.
Yep.
And someday, when this pandemic is under control, that is on your
That's
on the calendar.
We're going to host a workshop here at Lindinhof, and then we'll go to a testing, if not host a testing.
Yeah.
So it all depends on what transpires.
Yeah, and we should say that you guys kind of had planned that this year, but obviously
it was on the docket, but that's
2020
okay.
being 2020, we'll just put that in the future. But yeah, so thanks for explaining that. And we should mention, if you guys are curious about that, it is USDF.org for more information. So thank you again, Megan, for allowing me in here with the camera and explaining all of this to everybody. And thank you everybody very much for watching this. And we will get, do we know what we're going to talk about? Are we going to keep progressing on this?
Go to shoulder in, centimeter circles and shoulder in. Let's check them out.
Yeah, so
Yay!
we will check our schedules, but if you guys want to pencil us in for next Tuesday, it's probably going to be on the calendar. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Bye, everyone.